Bah. You have summoned the fire firm. You cannot summon the fire firm. You must not summon the fire firm. Is that too loud? Oh my god, it's probably too loud. People are tripping. Oh, it's too quiet. Oh, the burp is normal volume. The music's too quiet. What? Which one's playing? This one? I don't know why it's quiet. Why did it get quiet? It's up at maximum. Hold on, let's see if we got different songs that are louder. Huh. That's interesting. Why is it like that? That's so weird. Why is the music so quiet? I don't know. That's bizarre. Why does it do that? Why are you do that? Why are you do that, music? Why are you so quiet? I don't know. I don't know, something weird's going on, but either way, the music is just the beginning part, so if it's too quiet, I don't know what to tell you. It got weird. Guys, it got weird. Why is the chat not working? Is it working now? Hello. Why is the chat? Oh, there's the chat. I don't know. We'll figure it out. Well, I don't know. So, like, my voice audio won't change. I'm not changing that. Although it probably will scare you. You'll probably be scared. That's the end of that song. So here we go. What up, nerds? What are you doing? Oh my god, nerds! What are you doing? Why is the chat not working? We just went over this like at the beginning of the show here, program. Why aren't you putting the chat in? Chat. There we go. God, it took a minute. Whatever, dude. It's only the year 2024. Why would computer programs work? You know? Why would computer programs work? Should they work? Probably not. I don't know what to tell you. They probably shouldn't work. That's the thing I would say about the year 2024. Computer programs probably shouldn't work. So here we are. Memberships. We got to say all the stuff right here at the beginning of the show. So everyone that's here live, just start typing into the chat the things that you're frustrated about, like me talking about Patreon and whatnot, and memberships and this bullshit, because we got to do it right at the beginning and try and get demonetized as soon as humanly possible. Demonetization. Ba-boom! We don't need no advertising. You know. We don't need those ad dollars. Those ad dollars probably aren't real anyhow because this is a live stream, so it'll be like 58 cents. So let's not censor ourselves just for the sake of 58 cents. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Okay. So, beginning of the show. You want to be a member on this channel? I want you to be a member on this channel. You'll get access over to our Discord chat, where we can 24 hours a day, we can send memes to each other, we can chat about whatever. You can go, hey, something's wrong with my fish tank. Here's some pictures. Here's the water tests that I did. Here's whatever. Or you could even ask us questions about whatever, because we're mostly adults, if not entirely adults, I believe, as far as I know. So you could ask pretty much questions about anything. Like maybe your father-in-law is a big doucher and you're trying to figure out what to do about it. And you're like, hey guys, the father-in-law keeps coming over here douching all over the place, right? And you're like, what do I do? And you're like, just chill out, because you married into that and it's your fault. Good advice, right? Anyhow, if you become a member or a Patreon, you can be in those conversations there. If you want access to a space where you could talk to me and the rest of the fish people that follow this channel, that's the place. That's the way to do it. You could do it on Patreon for a little as $1 a month. You get 10% off if you do a year. That's www.patreon.com/JOEL_C, and you'll find it. That's me. That's my custom URL. URL. That's my custom URL for you. And it's your favorite thing. You love it. It's your favorite thing. You love it so much. Coming soon, new features to help you grow your business and energize fans. Okay, Patreon's trying to tell me that there's new features coming. Great. Okay, I just wanted to get the URL. All I wanted to do was go over there to get the URL, and then I could put it in the chat. And then someone would see it with their eyes. If you're viewing this later, you will be able to just click a link down below in the description if you want to do any of this shit. You can do it post-haste. Anyhow, if you want to become a YouTube member, the minimum on that is set to $5 a month, because YouTube takes a gigantic cut of the membership fee. So it's set to that. They take some inordinate amount. And don't quote me on whatever it is, because I don't remember what it is. It might be 40%. I don't know. Either way, I appreciate all of the support. And if you are one of the poors like me, if you're poor, what you can do that's free of charge, 0 entry fee, there's absolutely nothing stopping you from leaving a Replay Team 6 comment down below. You could leave a comment down below and say, this is Replay Team 6. And as a matter of fact, let's give ourselves some shout-outs to fellow Replay Team 6 members who have left a thing. God damn it, now there's shopping on YouTube. Oh, there used to be... Guys, there used to be a spot right here where you could read comments. It's been replaced by a shopping affiliate. Okay? I've been on YouTube for a long time because, and they just kind of make me sign into these things, and then they just show up on my thing. Anyhow, let's give a shout out to all of the Replay Team 6, like Groveside Animals, giving us a Replay Team 6, and Groveside Animals again with the Replay Team 6. Myrick T, giving us a Replay Team 6. Witchy Stitches with the Replay Team 6. Groveside with the Replay Team 6. So Myrick and Groveside seem to be the only people adhering to Replay Team 6. Okay? And I know for a fact that about 400 people after the stream watched the stream last week, which means, what's the percentage on that? 0.25% of people? Is that right? Did I fuck that up? I may have fucked that up. I don't know. What's 2 out of 400? Is that 0.5%? I need Joel G to help me with this. I need maths right now. Is that 0.5%? 2 over 400. Is that 0.5%? I think. I don't know. Maybe it's a quarter. I don't know. It's not enough. It's not even 1. Yeah, I'm sorry. It's 0.5. It's not enough. That's the problem. It's not enough. And that's valid. That's valid from Witchy Cat. It's not enough. So those are all the ways you can support this channel. There is the other methodology that you are rich like Bezos. Maybe you're an Elon Musk guy who just got approved a $50 billion annual salary, and you want to support content that I make, and you want to independently fund this debacle around here. I don't know. Contact my lawyer, or I don't know. Just become a member, and then you can just message me on Discord. How about that? Yeah, I don't know how I got the 0.25. I don't know how. I don't know how I got the 0.25%. Well, yeah, it's hard to hit the percentage thing. I fucked up my hand, as you can see, working this last week, and it's hard to reach the percent because I got to do the mahalo thing, and I got this and this, which this got infected. This gash in my hand got infected, and now is not infected, but it still hurts. It got all red and puffy. You know what I'm talking about when I talk about red and puffy things. I'm talking about red spot puffers. Puffer fish. You know, like the puffer fish you occasionally see swimming around back here in this hella shitty tank that's not looking great right now because I didn't take my own advice and prepare myself for being gone, right? Yeah, so take my advice. Do your water changes. Get your pre-feeding done. Get your, if you have a puffer fish like me, get your snails ready so when you go out of town that they're fed. And do all the things that you're supposed to do in preparation for leaving town for a while, which I didn't do. And now I got algae growing all over the side and on my plants and all that, and it's stupid. So now we'll begin with saying, like, what if you're like me? What if you're like me and you didn't do any of the stuff that I say you're supposed to do before you leave town? What am I going to do now? Well, as I've always recommended to everybody at pretty much every instance, when there's something wrong with your fish tank, I go, ba-ba-da-ba-ba-da-ba-ba. Have you done a water change in order for maintenance on your system? It's really a question. It's really a question. Did you do the maintenance on your system? Did you? Did you do the water change? Because that's going to be the first thing that I do. The second thing that I'm going to do after the water change is I'm going to let it sit for 8 to 12 hours, something like that. So if I do a water change in the morning, I'll come in the evening, and I'll test my water and find out what the hell's going on once I've done a water change. Now, I do have the current parameters of my water change water, a.k.a. the water coming out of my tap. There's no water coming out of the well right now, so I'm using city water, mainly because the well pump is shattered, and I haven't had money to buy a new one. So you could siphon it out if you like. You could siphon some water out of the well. You could also fall into my well. It is open. It is a big open hole back there, and there's a little building over it, but there's no well cover. There's no big giant concrete well cover over the top of that well, so it is kind of creeper. It's kind of moments of creepiness when you're working over top of it because there's no cover, and it's about a 5 feet around hole that goes way down into the earth. And if you fall in there, I bet there's no cell service down there. You know what I'm saying? So that's going to be the first thing. The second thing I'm going to do is 8 to 12 hours later, I'm going to come test the water parameters and see what the hell's going on. If I have ammonia, if I have nitrites, I am going to do something about it, which is namely add a little bit of safe to the water and try and neutralize that so that the next morning I can do another water change and try to get back to my baseline water. If I have returned to my baseline water, from there, I'm going to start doing my maintenance cleaning. I will clean all of the algae off. I will net out a bunch of algae if there's algae in there. Like right now, there's some blackbeard algae right over here on this Cryptocorini right here. There's some there, so I'll go ahead and clean some of that out, take it out, and also change the filter pads out of my sump. If you have a hang-on back filter, you're going to change the filter pads on your hang-on back filter. If you have a canister filter, you're going to change the filters in there. Yes, you could probably squeeze them out, and that's probably going to be good. If your filters are in good shape, you can squeeze them, rinse them. I've talked about that for about 15 years on the internet now, that you just use a little bucket of fish tank water to squeeze all those sponges out, get all that detritus out of there, and then to go dump that in your garden. This all seems super simple to me. This is innate in me. It's a thing that I just do. I don't even have to think about this stuff. But the nature of the internet is some noob is going to be in here going like, wait, what do I do? So I'm explaining it right now, and hopefully it will just either reinforce the veterans to go like, oh, yeah, that's what I got to do, and the noobs to go like, oh, all right, that's what I'll do. Once you have done that, now you can go back to your refilling. And since I did the cleaning of the algae and all that crap, I'm going to do another little water change either the next day or the following day. So the first time I'm going to do a water change that's probably about 40%. I'm going to wait that day or two after the cleaning and the filter pads and all that stuff. I'm going to let that cycle for a little bit. Then I'm going to go ahead and do about a 20% water change. And even though I may or may not have returned to my baseline, I also still want to give them some clean water replenishing back into the system, because more often than not, if you have a freshwater aquarium, what you are emulating is the great outdoors. The great outdoors is very big. Have you ever been out there? You can run around for weeks on end. It's real big out there. Well, it's even bigger in the water area, okay? Most of the planet's covered by water, so everything that has evolved on this planet has evolved within a system that is essentially going to have a replenishment of water, whether you're in the Sahara Desert, Death Valley, or in the rainforest. There is going to be a replenishment cycle of water. Now, I don't have any plants from the Sahara Desert in my fish tank. Almost all of my fish tanks come from places like the frickin' rainforest, which has been named aptly because it's a forest where it rains all the time. So I'm going to want to keep doing those water changes until I can get back to a baseline normalcy where water is being replenished into the system, and then I can use my human intervention to continue to balance the system out so that it will look reasonable. Now we got to make, or so that it'll return back to reasonable settings, and I can use my human intervention and my brain parts to continue growing plants like it's springtime. We've discussed this many times on the live stream. We're maintaining spring/summer in our aquariums. We're never having a dwell time of a winter. We're never having the fall. We're never having any of that stuff. That's why it's one of the reasons that we have to maintain our water quality and do replenishments and whatnot, because we're trying to maintain that specific time of year without, deviating from what would normally happen in that time of year. A lot of light, a little bit of water change, and fertilizers, right? So with all of those things, we're trying to just maintain that 365 as opposed to a 3-month period, because as we all know, up here in the Western Hemisphere, Northern Hemisphere, it's summertime. As of a few days ago, which means where I live in Western Washington, it's going to trick you into thinking, oh, it's summertime, because you'll get like an 85 or a 90-degree day, and you'll be like, oh, it's summertime. We got to do summer stuff. And then the next day, it will start raining on your head and be 54 degrees. So, anyhow, that's my little rant on what to do with your Independence Day preparations. Do your water change ahead of time. Do your pre-feedings. Don't worry about being gone for a week. As long as you've done some feeding for a couple of days, a little bit of heavy feeding, done a water change right before you left, and leave for a week, don't worry about it. Don't worry about, there really aren't any fish that are going to straight up die because they haven't been fed in a week. If you have puffer fish like me or fish that are predatorial like that, they can handle it. It'll be fine. You don't want to put automatic feeders on your tank. Automatic feeders are a freaking disaster. Chances are that thing, with my luck, and I don't know about your luck, that thing's going to have a problem. It's going to overfeed like crazy while you're gone, and you're going to come home to a tank of dead fish. So, and it'll only just because of that cheap piece of Chinese imported plastic that you bought online from somebody who told you, automatic feeders are great. And they've been doing tons of research and development on the automatic feeders when, strangely enough, if you take them all apart, they all have the exact same internals. I don't know. Does that seem normal? Okay, let's answer some of these questions and comments that we have in the chat. Was Witchy Cat first to the chat? I think Witchy Cat was first. Recab Harris, otherwise known as Sarah Baker, was second. Frank Dominguez. Witchy Cat was fourth. Frank Dominguez third. But Frank Dominguez automatically gets moved up to first. That's kind of how that worked. Skog Shrimp and Stuff. What's up, buddy? Joel G's here. Is nobody a member? Oh, my God. There's not, the only person that's a member in the chat today is Aubrey. All right. Obs gets priority today in the chat. Is that how that works? I think that's how it works. Oh, no, Alyssa's a member. Joel G's a member. Oh, my God. Okay, I was wrong. Aubrey's not the only member in the chat. The only member we're interested in, though, right? Aubrey says, could you drop an action cam down the well? Can you see the bottom? I could drop an action cam down there. I have camera footage of finding the well, exposing the well, cleaning up probably 40 years worth of rat feces, wearing my hazmat suit to clean it up. So yes, I have a video of the well, of finding the well, exposing the well, removing all of the plumbing from the well so that I could get ready to replace the plumbing in the well. So we have a video. We have not edited the video. Let me see. Hold on. Let me see. Hold on. Video file. Let's go to video file. Okay. What? Let me move it. Let me relocate the video file. Jeez, angry computers sometimes. Let's see what we got here. Let's see what we got. We might have one of the shorts that I tried to edit that I could show you guys. Because you guys are live stream viewers, right? Like, that's how this works. You guys are live stream viewers, so I can just show you guys stuff. Actually, this is interesting. You guys might like this. Well, I did a double click. Does it not open? Oh, wow. It doesn't play very well. I guess let's just turn the sound off. We'll just turn the sound off. Look at this. Look at that little peanut. It's not playing correctly. I don't think this is rendered properly. I don't think this is a video that is rendered properly. But look at this little peanut. My God, look how small she was. Yeah, the video format is inappropriate for streaming. Yeah, this was Olivia's first birthday, and she's 5.5 now. And dude, it's got me straight tripping, bros. You know, it's got me straight tripping. Okay, that she's 5.5 now, because I don't know how to wrap my mind around that. But let's see if we can't find. Okay, like I put this over here. You should open it up over here. You figured it would do that, but it doesn't do that. Let me see. Where is it? It would be... Okay, well, first off, we got to figure out what hard drive it's in. Okay, here we go. Let's expand this window a little bit so it's easier to figure out. Is it in here? No. In here? Not in that one. No. Oh, it's definitely not in that one. Editing. It might be in here. No. Maybe this one? No, this one's all stand building videos. Let's get back up. Storage. No. Must be in here then. Well, in the pump house. Here we go. Let's see. Which portion would it be? Maybe this part of the video? Let's see. Let's see what we got here. I think once again we have to turn the audio off. What if I drop the camera in there in this video? Now this looks spooky as all get out. But you can see here just how filled this area was with rat poops. Rats had gotten into the pump house and they've been back here building forever. Let's see if we can't jump forward in the video a little bit. It's obviously having problems like playing the video. There's multiple old pumps right there, both blown up. Both of those pumps. Both of those pumps came off and shattered the housing. So normally I would get the rebuild kit and rebuild the pump, but the housing is shattered and I can't weld and machine cast iron. You know what I mean? Like it's not something that I can do. But I think we're onto a track here, or we're onto something here because this is before I remove the cover. So what we should do is remove this. We're going to go ahead and remove that. Although the playback is not working all that great, but either way, we just deal with what we can right now. This computer is slowly getting tired, but let's see. Let's try this. Let's try this one. Okay. Oh, this one has audio. It's me talking. Okay, we're gonna turn the audio off because it's just the audio is not working. Why is it 6 frames per sec? 5 frames per second? Audio output. Placing on enter once. Why is it trying to do it in? It's trying to do it in 4K. I don't know why. That's why it's having a problem. So let's see if we can't fix that. None. No, it won't let me change it. So it's just going to play back this slowly. I don't know why it's doing that, but it is. So let's see. Let's see if I can move this over here, and then we can skip forward a little bit. Okay. Well, this is inside the well, Aubrey. Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Oh my God. It is the Blair Witch. It's the Blair Witch well project. There you go. Okay, there's the shot. That was the money shot that we were looking for. That's the money shot. That's the Yahtzee right there, if you've ever seen it. Okay, that gives you an idea of what we're dealing with here. And now I don't know what's going on. I'm doing something, talking to the camera with a light on my head. I got the headlamp on. Big hole in the ground with water in it. You know, big hole in the ground. Like a well, you know. So we'll go ahead and remove this because it's not playing back very well. So hey, I have to render it and just upload it like a regular video, and then you guys will be able to check that out. And then the next thing you know, you guys will be like, "Oh my God, I'm in love with your Blair Witch well," you know? Yeah. So there you go, Aubrey. I don't know that I dropped the camera all the way down in there, but That's as good as I could get right now without like remote camera access and being able to go out into the yard. That's the best I could do for you, bud. I hope that helped. Ow, this chair. This chair is failing me. The cowboy hemisphere. I guess we are in the cowboy hemisphere. That's true. Had to top up all my ponds. It's about 105 degrees today, so I wanted to give the fish as much water volume as possible. Also, threw up some easy ups for shade. The heat is what scares me these days. Well, I gotta say, Chirish, that's probably about everything the best that you could possibly do right there. Definitely with the extreme temperatures, you want to get some shade on whatever you have water-wise outside. That extremely high temperature is what's going to limit oxygen saturation, and that's generally what ends up killing the fish. Is that that oxygen starts to escape from the water as the temperature goes up. So if you start to get pond fish that are used to pretty cool temperatures, all of a sudden they're in a bit of a bath type situation. You would think, oh wow, it was the temperature that screwed them up. It's not necessarily the temperature, it's sort of the lack of oxygen and the oxygen uptake from the warm water. That's the biggest problem. But yeah, that's kind of the best you could do is throw some easy ups up there. Shade cloth is a great way to make a permanent type shaded areas for your ponds. I don't know, hanging it up is a bit of a chore considering like how robustly you need to put it up. But I'm gonna be honest with you, once it is up, it's not. It's like well worth it, I guess, is the better way to put that. It's well worth it once it's up. Let me see if I can't find a shade cloth so if people know what I'm talking about. Shade cloth for oh. Look at this. So the shade cloths nowadays are actually pretty easy to come across. You can order them pretty much almost any size you want. If you are going to order them off of our Amazon affiliate because we get a commission. So to the Federal Trade Commission out there, that is a sponsored link right there. You guys understand how this works, and I fully disclosed that is an Amazon link, and I get a commission. But essentially these days, I would recommend going somewhere like Amazon, whatever your favorite website is. I don't care. I have no preference and do not care where you get your shade cloth. But you can generally go on there, find about just any size or shape that you are looking for. They come with eyelets in them now so that you can hang them up quite easy. In the past, they used to come with no eyelets, and the sides weren't nicely sewn up and whatnot, and like doubled around the sides. So that's a benefit. Now here we are in the 21st century. We're putting eyelets in our shade cloth, and sewing up the edges so they don't fray and fall apart as quickly, but they still will eventually. I don't think there's any way to avoid that because they're out in the weather. And I don't know if you guys know this, but the weather outside is frightful. But the fire inside's delightful. Yeah. There's a fish in the background. There's Puffy being feisty. What is he doing? I don't know. He's just swimming around at the back wall. If there's some snails in there, you figure he'd be hunting them by now, but he's a weird fish. Does his own thing. He's got his own modus operandi, as it were. You know. Earlier in the chat, Zipgun said he wants to listen to some Front 242. Welcome, Front 242's Welcome to Paradise. I will say, worthwhile listens. If you've never heard Front 242, I recommend it. And I met those guys one time, and they were super nice, and I appreciated the hell out of them. They happened to come into a restaurant that I was the chef at, and one of the bartenders was serving them and was like, wait, who are you guys? Because you guys don't seem like our normal clientele. And they said, oh, we're just in some goofy band, and we're in town. And the bartender said, well, oh, hey, what band? And they told him, and then the bartender came in the back and goes, you guys have ever heard of this band, Front 242? They'd never heard of him. The bartender, that is. Because bartenders will always tell you that they're essentially like, check me out, I'm the coolest guy you've ever met. 99 times out of 100, they don't know shit from Shinola. But we came in the back, and I said, oh, hell yeah. And so in the kitchen radio, we put on Front 242. We played it super loud. And eventually they figured out, like, hey, wait. These bartenders don't know shit. Guess who knows shit? The kitchen. And they came in the back, and they were like, hey, nice musical choice, basically. And we were laughing because they were like, that's our band. Yeah. And they were super nice. And they hung out for 15, 20 minutes, and then went off to doing their band thing. You know what bands do, right? When they're touring around. And they went back to doing what they were doing, and we went back to doing what we're doing, cooking food for the masses, as it were. At Chirish, I had a moment where I thought you netted the fish out at night and just about had a freak out moment. Wait, what? What? Oh, yeah, that happens too, but I net them at night. Right. So you put a cover over your pond. Yeah, I would almost always recommend putting some kind of raccoon deterrent on any pond that you have outside. Any kind of fish that are outside are not safe from predators. Raccoons are very common, a very common problem that get into ponds. Also birds. Birds fly around. They can see, they look down and they go, hey, there's a brightly colored fish down there, and they're not moving very fast. I bet you I could get them. And you know what happens? They're right. And then they get them. And then they fly away. And you're like, damn it, I don't have the power of flight. And you can't catch that bird that went off with your prized fish. And that's a bummer. From my very limited interaction with bands and performers, good places to eat are very important to them while on tour. Yeah, I would agree. But that's anybody who's traveling around a lot. You could be a traveling Woolberry, and need places to eat. It's a strange thing about being human is that you need to consume caloric intake of some kind, typically in the form of food. That's a weird thing about being human, That's because we evolved on this planet. Some people think that God just invented us, whatever their weird like barn religion that they believe in, that like, oh, God's just created everything. Yeah. We evolved here just like the animals, and we need to eat food. So, oh, excuse me. I just stopped talking because I don't know. You know how it is. Sometimes you just stop talking because you have too many windows open, and you're like, my God, I've got to close all these windows. And then you start thinking, why did I even open these windows in the first place? Why is this a thing that exists on my computer? And I've pretty much been gone for a week, so everything that's open here has been open since last week. I've been gone. I don't know if you guys know this, but I did the live stream last week, and I basically haven't been home since, except for coming home when it's dark out and going to bed. That's pretty much been it. It's been very busy. There's been a lot of nonsense going on, tons of shit that I gotta do, that I have to do, and That's the way she goes. You know, people will be like, "Oh, I wanted to go to Findig like you did," and I'm like, "Hell yeah, you should. Findig was fun, and you should go." But we did that over the weekend. Then the weekend was gone, and then we had to do about 1,000,000 things, and the 1,000,000 things have just been adding up, and the 1,000,000 things need to be done, and I just had to keep doing them, and they're still not done. So it's pretty hectic around here. So let's close all these tabs because I hadn't even closed all these tabs yet. These tabs are still open from last week. Let's close that. We don't need that. What's this? Yeah, we don't need that. What's this? We don't need that. What's this? Oh, we need that one. We'll leave that one open. That's the thing. We don't need that. What's this? We don't need that. What's this? Page not found. We definitely don't need a page not found tab. This is the part of the live stream where I clean up the tabs on my computer. Is it good? No. No, it's not good. This is not a good part of the stream. We don't need that. Nope. What's this? We just have like a random YouTube tab open. Oh my God! Did you guys see what Dr. Disrespect from last week? Somebody exposed why he's banned from Twitch, and nobody more deserving of a ban. Chirish says, I almost went to Sacramento to meet you there, but we had family come by unannounced. Ah, bummer. It would have been good to meet you. Alyssa says, Puffy looks so much happier with more space to run around in. I don't know if he looks more happier. I don't know. I don't know where he went. Oh, there he is. He's back there. He's just swimming around. I mean, it's hard to say whether he's the type of fish that exudes any kind of contentment, happiness, sadness, because he just has a sort of a vacant murder look on his face all the time, and that's pretty much like his de facto, like, all the time, right? That's why we get along so well, because I have resting shit face, right? Or it's resting bitch face. Or it's resting fish face, right? You know, I've got that. When the Earth was invented 6,000 years ago. Thanks, Joel. I also have 2 sponge filters, and each one on top of the bog filters, so they should be good on Dissolved O2. It's all running on my off-grid system, so even if my power goes out, they should be good. That's dope, dude. That's dope. You should make some YouTube videos about that, and then we could check them out. It's not the stuff... It's the things, and those things are the shit. That's right. Little backstory for you guys. When Vicky and myself moved up here, I don't know if you guys know, but we maintained our Tacoma house. We were going to keep it as a rental, and we went through an extreme amount of work and determination and effort. We, in fact, had to live in a van down by the river, a.k.a. our RV camper, at an RV park for 2 weeks because we needed our Tacoma house to be under contract with a rental contract so that we would have made enough money for the bank to approve buying this house and keeping the other house. So we got that house under contract. We lived in the RV, well, the camper. I always call it an RV, but it's a camper. It's like a camper trailer, right? And so we lived in that for a couple weeks in order to make that work. All of our stuff was in pods, those shipping pods. It was pretty crazy. We did all that stuff. We got the house. We did all of the things to bring it up to code for a rental. It was a lot. It was a lot of stuff. We got it figured out. And over the last 2 years, the tenants have decided to completely trash the place, I guess is the way to put it. Not horror story trash, but it's pretty bad. They figured out how to turn the power off, which is crazy because, like, as far as I know, the power company doesn't do that. Like, they don't just turn the power off to a property that is like a rental property. So they managed to do that. They left the freezers full of like unpackaged goods, if that makes sense. So the whole place was full of stuff. We had to a lot of dump runs, a lot of work. A lot of work is going back into that house because we've decided that we don't ever want to deal with this ever again. From this standpoint, it's ridiculous. We're spending a ton of money and we're having to basically not remodel. That's not the right word. Rehab the entire house. So it's been weird, and it's been weird, and it's been weirdly emotional. The Tacoma house is the first house that Vicky and I ever bought. Either of us had never owned a house before that. It was the first house that we'd ever bought. It's the first house that we could ever have like called our own. And if you guys recall, like we did a shit ton of work to that house, from the plumbing to the electrical to the insulation to remodeling the kitchen, all the way down to from a bare bones remodel standpoint. I had to remove a brick chimney out of that place. There's a giant list of things that we did to that house in order to bring it up and make it like into a really nice house. And the people rented it just didn't care. They just didn't care. It was not important to them. So it has been we've had to do sewer inspections. We're having to do all this crazy stuff to get the place back into shape. And it has been like an emotional roller coaster. And there have ultimately been questions that Vicky and I have been like, well, maybe we should just move back to the Tacoma house. Like that has come up a few times. We've definitely talked about that. It's come up a few times. And the reality is like we like living up north here so much better than we did like living down south. And so like we've decided like, okay, we're going to sell the house. We're going to sell the Tacoma house because, and also this last year they changed the tenant laws in Tacoma. You guys can go look them up online if you want. But a few highlights of them are, it's like you can't evict anybody between the months of November and April, period, because it's cold outside. They've also changed the laws in regards to like if your tenants have a kid in school, you can't evict them during the school year. The school year here runs from the beginning of September to the middle of June. So that leaves only 2 months out of the year that you could evict somebody for non-payment, right? If they happen to have a kid, they could just live there for 10 months for free while you pay the mortgage, which we do pay the mortgage every month. And so, it's kind of one of those things that we just have to make a decision and we have to go with it because it's generally the right decision. It's like we can't afford to have somebody living there for free. We can't afford to continue to suck up all the costs of repairing all of this stuff after somebody lived there for only 2 years, right? So I don't know. It's been a really weird like roller coaster of emotions in regards to a property, which is goofy. But that's how it is. I mean, it's part of It's another one of those weird human experiences that like you never would have expected to have this like kind of emotional state in regards to something as goofy as like an old house, right? Um, but that's how it is. That's how it is, and so we got to get it done. Hopefully, hopefully this wholesale will work out appropriately. Everything will be fine. But there's just so many plates up in the air right now that it's a pretty stressful time. It really is. So driving back and forth is really not helpful. There's a whole reason that we moved from there. The drive is it's brutal. It's a brutal drive back and forth. I've been making a bunch of times and just remembering like, oh yeah, this sucks. Landlord BS is for rich people. I'll never rent out a house again. Such a pain in the ass. Yeah, it is. It is really for rich people, corporations that just don't care about anything. And Chirish follow-up is, I'm a hippie, but those are some overly hippie laws, in my opinion. Now, from a political standpoint, I want you guys to understand that I agree with the people of Tacoma passing laws to stop corporate entities from owning homes the way that they do. They have dramatically, and when I say this, they have dramatically influenced the rental market and the home ownership market over the last 15 years. Even before that, but especially over the last 15 years, they've been brutalizing people for a really long time. And it does require crazy laws like this to get those corporations out of the business. While I would always just kind of implore with people that like, yeah, we weren't big business landlords, which we weren't, and we aren't, and be like, oh, woe is me. But the reality is there is a bigger problem, and it is corporate ownership of all of these homes, and it's only going to get worse unless the people are able to stand up and put in legislation like they did in Tacoma. Like, they have to force the hand, because it's pretty clear that like our federal government is like deeply influenced by groups like the Federalist Society, right? Who recently just influenced a Supreme Court decision to that, by the way, is being misconstrued by the former Orange president Dingleberry. That he's just immune from prosecution, although the Supreme Court said, well, they're immune from prosecution in the act of doing their job, right, as the president. So any of the stuff that's non-presidential, they ruled that like that didn't have anything to do with your job, so he's not immune from any of that. And yet they think, wow, this is a big giant victory for Trump, even though it's not. But the rest of our government is heavily influenced by groups like that are pushing this sort of corporate overlord nonsense, which is always so weird to me that Republicans wander around and act like we're the party of the people, when it's like, you're the party of the corporations. You want to, even in the last debate where Joe Biden was falling asleep, Donald Trump claimed that all of the job creation was because he got rid of regulation. I mean, that's literally what he was saying. I got rid of regulation, so it allowed corporations to create more jobs, which is wholesale ridiculous. But anyhow, as an aside, I would say that like, as far as these laws in Tacoma, it's going to force corporations to sell the rentals that they own. Whether or not that is going to be a perfect world where everyone's just going to be able to buy a house. I mean, the reality right now is that when I was looking this up the other day, what the fuck? Oh my God. Okay, here we go. How many are there? I was looking this up, and where was the number? Yeah, there it is. There's only about, so let's see. Hold on. Wait, is that 1 through 1, 2, 8. Okay, so we need to do 12 times 167. Yeah, so there's only about 2,000 houses for sale right now in Pierce County, Washington. A lot of them are out of the price range of normal people, like $1 million, $2 million, $3 million houses. Let's see what the lowest price house for sale is right now. Like a lean-to is $200,000. But the reality of things is that there's not enough houses for sale because in Pierce County alone, there's what did we look up the other day? One of the countries was smaller than this. Iceland. Like Iceland only has like what 268,000 people or something like that. So Pierce County has Pierce County in Washington has a current population, well, a couple years ago, has a current population of like 930,000 people, right? So 2,000 houses for sale for a population that's getting close to 1 million people. It doesn't make a lot of sense that would even be looking that way. So that's the thing, is that you'll likely see something into the 10, 12, 15,000 houses or something like that will be for sale fairly soon once the corporations start having to catch up to these laws from the fact that basically people will just be living in them for free. And then corporations will start making decisions on their Excel spreadsheets about how like, oh, we got to sell these units off. Recap Harris says the unfortunate thing is that it's the bad renters who make things more difficult for good renters who take care of the place they're renting and don't cause damage. It's also one of the reasons why rental rates are rising. Bad renters feel that because they are renting a place, they can do whatever they want with it, and sadly, they need to be put in their place. So, yeah, I mean, arguably, I think it has more to do with the attitude of the people that are doing the renting, right? Like, I know, like, Recab Harris is in Canada, so I don't know any like really specific things going on in Canada. So let's just take that portion with a grain of salt. But one of the big things in the United States is most of the mechanisms that landlords have in order to deal with like renter negligence have to do with a deposit that was put down, and most of all of the other repercussions are civil in nature because they're not a crime. So they're not like murder, right? And so because of that, like them being civil in nature is that like, well, we're going to take you to court because we need you to pay for this dishwasher that you broke, right? Well, we have to take you to small claims court. The small claims court goes, well, you need to pay up for this. Let's say they found to have been liable for damaging the dishwasher, and then they go like, well, I don't have any money. And so the small claims court goes like, okay, well, we're going to garnish your wages. What if they don't have a job? Or what if they have like a cash paying job where they don't, like let's say they're a waitress somewhere and their paycheck is basically $0 every 2 weeks because of all the tips they're being paid out. There's a multitude of reasons. And also one of the other big punishments, air quote, is that people's credit score, it'll go in your credit report. there are a lot of people in the United States nowadays that just don't care about their credit report anymore. They're like, it's already screwed up. I don't care. So there's not a whole lot of punishments that you can do. So that's the bigger side of it, is that, like, you know, you could destroy somebody's property and it's not really a crime because you have a lease there, right? So either way, I'm no lawyer, so don't take everything with a grain of salt. But, you know, I'm not here to convince somebody to rent or not rent, or be a landlord or not be a landlord. Just giving my this is what we have going on, right? And on top of it, I go, yeah, politically I agree with what the people are doing, because they need to make a dramatic change, because it's been allowed to go for so long that it has to be a dramatic implementation of, like, what the people actually want. Now, it's, you know, it's the pendulum, right? It's the pendulum swinging back and forth. In a couple of years, will they pass a new law that reduces the current rental situation laws? Maybe they will. Maybe they'll moderate it and change it, or add actual enforcement mechanisms and things like that. It's possible, but, you know, I would say that, like, for right now, it's getting pretty dramatic. Just how large, like, corporate ownership is getting. I will say it. Don't be a landlord. I don't mind. I didn't mind being a landlord. I don't mind doing the repairs. I don't mind doing that stuff. The bigger thing is that, like, I think a lot of renters in the United States, like, act like it's the boogeyman. Like, the landlord's going to just kick you out if, like, a cupboard got broken, or there's something wrong with the disposal or the dishwasher. There's something wrong with it. It needs to be fixed. It's a bigger problem that you're neglecting the thing that got broken. And realistically, like, if you broke something and you're found to be negligible for having broken it, it's going to be worse when you just let it be broken for a year or whatever. Which seems to be the bigger issue, right? And then on top of it, you know, renters like to misbehave. Like, one of the rooms in the house clearly was this is where we smoke weed room, right? Because there's, like, the carpet is neglected. It smells like people are smoking weed in there, like, nonstop. It's unmistakable. It's obvious what's going on. All of the smoke detectors were disabled, right? You know, stuff like that, where you go, like, why did you take all of the batteries out of all of the smoke detectors? Well, because we were smoking in here, right? And you're like, okay, can't do that, you know? So, you know, stuff like that, where, you know, you go, okay, it's obvious that, like, you can't maintain your behavior, right? And then it becomes it becomes like a bigger issue than it ever really needed to be. It's like, I never said don't smoke weed on the property, right? I never said any of that in the lease agreement. It said no smoking inside. You could go outside and smoke all the weed you want. I don't care. But they decided, well, we're just going to smoke inside. Well, now we got a problem, right? So what do we do there? Well, now we have to get the carpets cleaned. We have to go around and clean all the walls. We have to deodorize everything. We have to paint all the stuff that was damaged. You know, it's a lot. There's a lot that goes into it. Zipgun says, in a lot of ways, Joel is the perfect landlord. He can fix most issues and will know when a specialist needs to be called in. Yeah, I mean, that's the reality. I mean, the hard part is that I live far away, and making the commute is the real problem. So, but we had a property management company that would 24 hours a day, if they had called and said, hey, there's a problem, they would send a repairman over to check it out. And I believe we had the repair limit set to $75. So if the repairman went out there and it was going to cost more than $75 to fix, then they couldn't do anything until they got our approval. So if say there was something that I'd be like, nope, I'm going to go down there and do that, then I would be like, just let them know I'll be down there to fix it. And then I have to put in the 48 hours notice that I will be arriving at the property. Because that's a law in Washington. You have to tell them, I believe it's 48 hours. Don't quote me on that. But you have to give them a notice on what day you're coming so that they know that you're showing up. And then I would go down and do that and fix it. Or replace it or whatever needed to be done. So, you know, I kind of understand both sides, but like when I moved out of the last house I rented, actually Vicky moved in there with Sean and I, the landlords that I had actually told me, they were like, we're not going to rent this house anymore. And I was like, oh, you know, I was like, oh my God, what did I, you know, did I do something? Like, and she goes, no, here's the problem. As they go, we rented this house long before you moved in. And since you moved in, we've basically had zero problems with the house. Whenever there was something wrong, you just fixed it and then told us about it. And so, and they were like, you never paid late. We never had any problems. So they were like, our expectation is that we are going to go back to having problems again. So we'd rather just sell the house and not have any problems. Now, at the time, I thought that was like fairly dramatic. You know, I was like, oh, that's kind of dramatic. You know, that's a little weird. But then, you know, now looking back on it, I go like, oh, I can see exactly where they were coming from. Right. Because you know, I'm in the same spot, obviously, that like, you know, it's so it definitely, you know, interactions like that have definitely helped me kind of go like, yeah, all right, we are kind of doing the right thing. But, you know, we thought long term from the standpoint of, you know, it's going to be insanely difficult for Olivia to try and buy a house when she is 25, right? She's 5 right now. When she's going to try and buy a house, it's going to be 2044. Our expectation is that it is going to be insanely difficult for Olivia to try and buy a house. And our plan was to hold on to that house, and it could be a place for Olivia to move to, which is kind of weird. But if you think about it, she could move to the house and live there. Or we could sell that house and use the proceeds to pay for helping Olivia buy a house, you know, 20 years from now, or build a house or whatever. Right. That was our plan. Some people would say that like, that's too ambitious of a plan for your kids. And you can't make big giant plans like that to like help take care of your kids. And like, I don't give a fuck what any of those people say. I'm going to try and give every advantage to my daughter that I can. In hopes that someday she could be the president. You know what I'm saying? These fucking silver spoon shoved up their asses freaks end up running our government, right? They end up running everything. They're all the CEOs. They're all the CFOs. They're all the controllers. They're this, that, the other thing. Hedge fund managers, shit like that. And I don't want my daughter to be forced into a blue-collar existence. And I know for a fact that my parents made a lot of sacrifices to hopefully put me in the position to not have to live the blue-collar existence. I really wish I had gone to college longer and gotten degrees. I really should have. And I'm going to do everything in my power to help Olivia go down that path as opposed to I work really, 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 really hard for this company for 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 or 7 years. and then they just throw you out the fucking with the bathwater, because some dickbag that that's daddy Molly coddled them the entirety of their life, just says like, oh, there's a line item here, we got to get rid of this, so yeah. Like there was a company I worked for where I was getting close to being vested, and once you're vested in a company, you basically can't get fired, because you're going to be able to take your shares with you. And as it turns out, everyone that got close to getting vested, they just blackball them until they're no longer in the company. Whether they quit on their own or they eventually get laid off, like that's the MO of that company, because all of the people that are vested get all of the time that those people vested in the company goes in towards their shares. So yeah, it's stuff like that, which I would rather my daughter not have to be beholden to, right? To shit like that. Only on the GOP side, Biden, Obama, and Clinton all came from somewhat modest means. I mean, if we're talking like just presidents, if we're talking like just presidents, I mean, Joe Biden's so old, and he's. I mean, if we're okay, if we are talking just presidents, but that's assuming that like the presidents actually run everything, which they don't. There's a laundry list of Democrats too that are silver spoon fucks, but it's true that a lot more are on the Republican side. But yeah. F them, I'm with you. My girls are only 2 years older than yours, and I started building them investment portfolios. Yeah, so Olivia has an investment portfolio. We put money into it every month, and she's doing fine as far as the investments go. Likely we'll be able to contribute a good amount of money to her investment that will make us a lot less stressed out about her future. Yeah. I can honestly tell you guys, like, my current retirement does not have very much money in it. It's not good. I will say that. Being 44 years old, the horizon is not looking good. I'm gonna end up like my dad. My dad is 75 years old and he works full time as a janitor. Yeah, and I don't. Yeah, I don't want Olivia to be living that. I don't want Olivia to be living that. I don't know. It's probably too deep of a conversation for fucking live stream, but it is what it is. Home has a ton of emotion behind it, whether you live there or not. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of what I was talking about. Is like, that's the first house that Vicky and I ever owned. It always just seemed like a pipe dream for us to ever even own a home. So, getting that house, working on that house, yeah. This house is starting to feel that way though too. That like, oh shit, man, if we ever have to sell this house, it's gonna be a bit traumatizing. Hold on, I dropped my whatchamacallit. There we go. I got it. What is it? It's this. It's something I'm fiddling with. It's got doodly womps and wackily doos and whoozy what's it's galore. It's got whoozy what's it's galore. What's that song from? The Little Mermaid? Is that The Little Mermaid? I don't know. Should I play a game of Risk? I don't know. Maybe I should. Where's my be right back button? I'll be right back. I got to go to the bathroom. Did you guys notice? Did you guys notice I was back? Oh, I had thought about if you want thingamabobs, I got plenty. That's right. Let's see. I made sure my kiddo had college money. My mistake was letting her access it before she was ready to go to school. But she was an adult, and I can't pay for a second full ride. Yeah, actually, that's going to be one of those things. There'll be a limitation on Olivia's investments, especially with like 529s. You can't really use the money ahead of time. But yeah, the investments, they have all of our names on them, right? So they have Olivia, mine, and Vicky's names on them so that they can likely be converted into a trust at any time. So they can't just take the money out and like buy a car or whatever. But there has to be a decision there between all three parties. Like if in the future Olivia wants to like convince us of a thing, one of the big issues with the 529 specifically is that like it only applies to certain things. Otherwise, you have to pay a penalty to like take the money out. Blah blah blah. There's a lot of ins and outs. But we converted from a 529 to a different investment because it was going to work better for overall like what we want her to be able to do the money or use the money for. One of Vicky's nieces, for example, has been going up to Alaska every year working on her pilot's license hours. And so if you really limited that situation, then she wouldn't be able to be working on her pilot's license because it's like, well, it's not technically flying school because she did her instrument part, but now she's needing to do her, I don't know how many thousands of hours. She has to get all these flight hours. She's able to do it up in Alaska. So every year she goes up to Alaska for like 4 months when the weather's not ridiculous and they have lots of flights to make. And she's able to go and get her flight hours that way. And so part of like her college investment has gone towards like paying for being up there working on that. So, yeah, I mean, we don't want to limit it to just you're only able to go to Ohio State or whatever, right? Like, so, because honestly, I don't know what the world's necessarily going to look like in, I mean, call it 20 years from now, 18, 15 years from now when she's 20, right? I don't know exactly what the world is necessarily going to look like. Is technical training going to still be viable? Like, if she wants to become an electrician or something like that, she's going to have to do an apprenticeship anyhow, so she's going to get paid for that. Does that mean we pay her rent out of her investment while she's able to do that? I don't know. But there's going to be a bunch of decisions to be made, and I think if we only did the 529, then it gets it can technically get stuck, right? Yeah. But Chirish is right. Yeah. We were going split with the 529, but ultimately, like our investment advisors, we have like an investment advisor through Vicky's work, which is actually like a nonprofit organization. They're really good. They were kind of like, we just want to grow this money so that you can just get into the maximum amount of money. And that's just generally what we've been working on. Oh, I had a Zip Gun says, I had a thought about fish that is somewhat controversial. I know a lot of people don't like the look of glowfish, but I support their creation. I think the more we know about their kind of genetic modification of animals, the better. I think we're going to need to be able to help sustain ecosystems by modifying animals to survive the change in climate. Actually, I think that I personally, I would say that like on the research and learning that I've been working on for my life, I don't know. The bigger thing is that like nature's going to automatically do that. And nature's going to automatically do that by we learned from Darwin. It's the death, right? It's the death of creatures that are unable to live, and the ones that are able to live are the ones that will maintain the ecosystem, right? So if we continue to modify the environment, it will automatically, evolution will be happening whether we like it or not through the death of creatures that are unable to make it. And a real-time example of that would be the Chernobyl disaster. There are animals that have already began becoming new species within the Chernobyl disaster. They're starting to find that through birds. Let me see if I can't find. Those new species of birds that are radiation resistant. Here it is. I think this is it. Let's see. Cookies. Off. Reject optional cookies. Thank you. Here it is. Ba-ba-da-ba-ba-ba. Oh God, this is a long. Just find the part that I'm looking for. We need to find a short article that you guys can Here it is. The mutants of Chernobyl, how radiation exposure. Oh my God. Now. Oh, so there's the black frogs of Chernobyl. Frogs around the ruined nuclear plant have become darker, a response researchers believe to radiation hotspots in the zone. That's the frogs. Superpowered bacteria. Bacteria found on the wings of swallows within Chernobyl has been found to be more resistant to the effects of gamma radiation. Cancer-resistant wolves. Mutant wolves roaming the wasteland of Chernobyl have developed what might be described as a superpower, as it could save human lives. That's the wolves, a new kind of dog. Thousands of feral dogs now live in the zone, the exclusion zone. Many whom have descended from family pets abandoned as people fled the area in the wake of the 1986 disaster. A study by University of South Carolina scientists analyzed the DNA of 302 feral dogs near the power plant and found a significant DNA differences from the dog populations. So there's dogs. I don't know. There's a bird one where there's just brand new bird species that are radioactive, resistant to radiation, and they are a different species because they look different. Oh, here it is. This might be it. No, this is South America. That one is in South America. Is there a radiation zone in South America? I don't know. What did you convert the 529 to? Now you have me questioning my strategy. Everything for Olivia we had in CDs, 529, and an investment account. And because we were getting really good rates on CDs at one point. They've gone down since then, so it's not really like worthwhile. But all of the CDs have been converted into low yield index funds, is essential, or low fee. Is it low yield or low fee index funds? Yeah, mostly just index funds and whatnot to grow the money, because even the expected return. So it looks. Let's see the. Let's say 7%. Let's see if we can't do a 7%. Here we go. Let's see if we can't find an expected return calculator. So, where's that? Do 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 do. Yeah, we were getting like CD rates at like 5.5%, 6%, but they've since gone way down, so we've stopped putting them into CDs. The CDs were at that and were at that rate, so they got so we just put them in there because it's guaranteed, right? Here it is, investment calculator. Reject. Okay. So, let's say we do this. Here, I'll give you the kind of breakdown here. This is kind of the easy way to look at it. Okay. So, let's say we have 20 years to accumulate, right? And let's say our total investment is $25,000. We go at a 7% return. So we go from a 7% return. Periodic contribution is like $1,000 per quarter. So that's $4,000 a year, right? Let's go. I don't know. $1,000 a month is like way too much. I think we put in 500. Let's say it's. I don't know. Let's say it's 500. And let's say we started this when she was born, and we're compounding annually, right? And we're putting in $500 a month. And let's say that it's at 25,000 now, and we'll just go 15 years, right? So the amount of money that's going to go in is $500 a month, so $6,000 a year over 10 years. Is like $60,000. But what you're going to look at here is you're going to go like, oh, like $155,000 after 15 years. But let's say that we started and we went 20 years. Now suddenly it's $253,000 at that like 20-year mark, essentially, right? There's just this right down here. This is like total amount down here at the bottom. So essentially, like that's what we're banking on is 7%, a 7% return over the whole time, right? That whole timeline. And then go, well, so we would have to, let me give it a calculator here. Basically what you're, hold on. No, this is investment goal. We fucked up here. That's investment goal. We have fucked up. Here we go. We want, let's say it's 20,000 in there, initial investment. Let's say the goal is $1 billion. I don't know. Does it matter what the goal is? Okay, so the goal doesn't really matter. Okay. So we go 20 years of accumulation. We started out with 20,000 and we put $500 a month in. Let's say that. There. Okay. And if we do that over the 20-year period, it will be at $330,000. You can always take money out, and it is taxable, but as long as they stay within a regular tax bracket, you're essentially not going to pay a big penalty, because let's say they take that money out and they put it towards tuition, and they're using their standard deduction and whatnot, essentially they're going to get that money back as a refund at the end of the year, right? So the assumption is that like, well, taxes are going to go way up. So if you put it into a 529, you're going to not pay the taxes on it. But if you have somebody that's like in college, they're not earning any income, and you're taking money out in order to go towards tuition, towards books and blah, 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 and all that kind of stuff, that can be worked around and figured out as a when it comes time to go do your taxes, right? So this is what we were looking at, is essentially going, well, if we put that money into a 529, then we're going to be limited in like where we can use that money, and limited on like what are the specific investments and whatnot. Whereas if we go with the 7%, I believe it's like 7% as every 10 years, right? 7% compound, doubling every yeah, the expected rate of return is that essentially like, if you're getting 7% return, it's going to double like every 10 years, right? So the reality is that like, that's basically what we're working off, is that like we're gonna double the amount of money every 10 years, and she has a certain amount of time, or she can just carry the account until it's time for her to retire, which is what my recommendation would ultimately be, is that can we realistically fund her throughout her entire life? Because if I had started with, actually, let's go back to that calculator. What was that? Oh, we're at a different one. Okay, here we go. We're at a different one. This one's way simpler. Okay, here we go. Where do I put it so it makes sense? There we go. We'll put it right here. There we go. Okay, so if I had started when I was 18, and let's say the initial deposit was $20,000, right? And let's just say I put nothing in it. And let's say that I leave that in there for 50 years, and let's say it gets terrible return, right? 5%. And I don't put any money into it, right? And at 18, a $20,000 deposit, by the time I'm 68, I'd have $242,000 to retire with, right? So, this is the big difference, that like, if Olivia, say when she's 18, and I go, I'm going to fund your retirement account with $20,000, and you just leave it in there and you don't even have to do anything with it. The idea would be, over that 50-year period, she's getting 7% rate of return. I guess compounding annually, let's just say it's compounding annually. That $20,000 would turn into $600,000, right? So, that's one of those things that like, I was like, why the fuck didn't my parents do this, right? Not to say that my parents had $20,000 lying around or whatever, but like, why didn't they just put, let's say it started out as $2,000, right? And I was putting in, let's say I was putting in $50 a month, right? If they started me out with a $2,000 investment account, and I put $50 into it every month, which is, by the way, like not very much money, and I probably would have just had that happening, right? Because that's not make or break kind of money. by the end of the month, right? I would be looking at having a retirement of $300,000. My current retirement is not even close to $300,000. It's a million miles from there, as a matter of fact. So this is the type of thing that I would want to set up Olivia with. Like, let's say we do $20,000. She puts in $50 a month. All right, let's say that she puts in $100 a month. By the time she retires, she would just have an investment account that has $1 million in it, or $1.1 million in it, with the total investment of $80,000, right? That's the total principal right there. The total amount of principal that was only put in over that period of time was $80,000, and it'll turn into $1.1 million. Now, by the time that she retires, the 50 years from then, $1.1 million might not be the equivalent to what $1.1 million is right now. I get that. And sometimes shitheads bring that up to me, that they're like, dude, you have the money, inflation. But I will tell you this much. Regardless of the devaluation of the money or not, or the buying power of the money or not, 1.1 million is more than zero. Right? So, and also one of the weird things is that, like, if you convert this to a retirement account, you can do things like use the money from it as a down payment on your first home purchase. And you don't have to pay taxes on that. Tax is deferred. You don't have to pay the taxes or the penalty. You don't have to pay either, because you decided that you wanted to buy a house and be a responsible business homeowner, right? So because of that, like, I don't want her to be hamstrung by just having only the education account, because I also don't know, like, what's going to qualify as educational expenditures at that point. I forgot to open the green room. Does anybody want to call in to the green room before we get to 4 o'clock today? So the green room's open. I forgot to do that. Money education is also important, so she understands why she should do that. This is where my parents failed. I had to learn about compound interest and money from the internet when I got older. Yeah, actually, that's also a big problem. I don't know that I wasn't taught about it. It's that, and like, people told me about it or whatever, but it wasn't implored and it wasn't, like, done. Does that make sense? I think there are certain things that, like, the adults in the room are supposed to just do and organize, because somebody that's 16 can't really, like, make a fundamental decision about the future, because the future doesn't really exist for them in a real, like, firm and concrete way, right? People that are 16, like, the worst thing that they've probably ever been through is, like, maybe one of their grandparents died. Maybe they broke a leg and they've gone through, like, broken bones and stuff like that. Yes, I understand, before I get, like, people going like, yeah, lots of kids have been through lots of stuff. I understand. It's not normal for kids to have leukemia, okay? It's just not. It's tragic, and it's a reality of the world, but it's also not the normal for everybody, statistically speaking. Most kids don't. So, what I do know is that most kids in their mid-teens and whatnot, they don't even imagine that the future really exists. And I know that because I was surrounded by people that acted that way, and I also acted that way myself. And that's a reality, like, of the human nature that we have, is that, like, teenagers and whatnot aren't thinking about the future at all. They're thinking about, like, what do I need to do right now, you know? So if you try to tell a teenager, like, hey, you need to invest this money because then you're going to need money when you're old, they're like, it just doesn't qualify. It doesn't qualify in their mind, and they don't understand what that means, right? They're like, they get the words, they understand the words that you spoke to them in the language that you spoke to them. Yeah, Yeah, but they're not like actively thinking about like, oh shit, what I should do in the future is have sound financial investment. And the reason I can say that, I have two examples of buddies that had essentially like a trust fund because they had a tragic death in their family, and there was a death benefit that when they were kids, there was a death benefit. Now, one of them was able to control their that money once they turned 18, and they made terrible, terrible decisions. And that money was not controlled by the other person until they were 25, and they made pretty good sound decisions. And so there are different ways to structure that stuff, and I realistically think that it does come down to the adults in the room making positive decisions for their children's benefit, right? Like, that's just a reality that, like, somebody that's 40 years old and is obviously a stable person is probably going to make much better decisions than somebody that's 15 years old, right? And like the entirety of our society is structured that way, right? That's why there aren't 14-year-old pilots, right? That's why you have to be 35 to be the president, right? Like, there are certain ages where people will develop to make better decisions, and like, we should understand that as parents, that like that's part of our responsibility to make those decisions and set the kids up for success. It's just a reality, right? Like, of the world that we live in. Angel babies. That's right. Unrelated. Oh my God. Two of my nicest angels are cleaning a leaf and making the other angels hide in a corner. Crap. I need to finish my fish room. Alyssa, we need to finish your fish room. And as far as my chin goes, I was working with Alyssa on her fish room last week, and got a double whammy to my chin. Most people can't tell because I have a beard. But I smacked myself in the chin so hard that it split the skin open, and I kept wondering, like, maybe I chipped the bone in there or something, but it felt like I basically just got kicked in the face. I've been kicked in the face before, so I was quantifying the two. Definitely felt like that. And, yeah, I survived. Didn't die. Chin still hurts a bit, but it's definitely healing, so, you know, it'll be fine. I'm not dead. That's the important part. Didn't die. Still alive. But yeah, you probably do need to finish your fish room. That's important. What's up, y'all? Oh, Luke. Hey, Luke. What's up, buddy? I got your business card right here on my desk. I was just looking at it earlier. Missed last week, but thanks for coming down to visit us, and great to meet you in person. Yeah, it was great to meet you in person. Very much did my short review of the Findig, and definitely recommend people to seek out going to the Findig next year. I think a lot of people will have a lot of fun, and I'm excited to try and go next year, and then I can compare the two. But you know how it is. Our Witchy Cat says our society needs to stop thinking 18-year-olds are adults. That's the first fundamental flaw in our logic. I don't think so. I think 18 is an appropriate age for people to be considered an adult. But I mean, as far as like being a parent, I think that the foundation should already be built long before that they turn 18 and they're just let loose to going to make some pretty wild decisions. I think that they should already have some pretty strong fundamental understanding of what it is that's happening around them, right? Like, I don't think. What's a good example here? I was trying to think of a good example. And I've just completely flaked on it. I had a good one. There was a good one there, and I lost it. What was I talking about? Oh, like the investing thing, right? So, I think the investment thing should have been made. That decision should have been made like long before they turned 18, I think that's the big thing. And that's sort of our plan. Like when you go back to, where was that calculator? That's the arrow. Oh, I must have turned it off. Let's go back here. We'll go back to this thing again. Okay. We'll put it right there. We have to shrink it down a little bit because sizing is size. Sizing and phrasing, right? So let's say the big difference here is this right here, right? So let's say that we bump this to 60 years. Oh, it needs to be 1 in 50. Oh, you can't, 50 is the maximum. Okay, 50 years. So let's say it's 50 years. The big difference here would be that we started this when she was 0 versus 18. So let's take 18 years off and we'll go 32, right? So here's the big difference. Like 300,000 to 1.1 million. That's the big difference, right? And let's see, what was 2024? 2024 plus 32 is 56, right? Yeah, 310,000. So that's the big difference right there. 310,000 versus 1.1 million, and her overall age, right? So that's the crazy thing, is to think that, like, if we didn't start that account until she's 18 and then she retires at 68, it's 310,000 versus the 1.1 million, right? So that I think fundamentally, like, that's the big difference is that we started it when she was 0, right? So we started, 5 years ago. And, it's probably like, well, let's say 2024, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's somewhere in here. But if we fast forward, it's this is where the big earning is, right? Is down here at the end. But let's say that she gets 9%, right? Now all of a sudden it's fucking cattywampus and sing, right? 2.5 million, right? Let's say that she contributes 300 a month, 4.5 million, right? Like, these numbers are all down here are essentially modest, and our goal was to avoid her having to worry about these years at all, right? These first 18 years, like, that's 18 years that she shouldn't have to worry about because she's the child, right? So we're handling this, and we're setting it up in a way that it would be like this at the end. I mean, 9% is pretty crazy, but, like, let's say it's at 7, and then you're looking at like $2 million at $300 a month, right? So yeah, I mean, that's the big thing, is that, like, we're taking care of this. She probably won't even know that she has an investment until it's like here, right? At like 250,000, right? Now, I'm sure somebody who's 20 years old would be like, well, that's $250,000. I can go on vacation and go party or buy a car or whatever. But the idea would be that she would have to convince us that's like that whatever she wants to do with that money is, like, really viable. So fundamentally, like, the idea there would be, okay, let's say Olivia's, like, super ambitious and she goes, like, I want 100,000 of that so I can start my own business. We go, like, all right, we agree to do that, but we also need to help you start your business. File all of your business plan documents. File your incorporation documents. Make sure your insurance is legit. Your bond, your license, your blah blah blah. Like, organize all of that stuff, and then be along there to help guide, and also make sure that there aren't like dramatic pitfalls that could be easily avoided. Right. I'm 57. June rolls around, and I still think, oh, summer, 2 months off. Yeah, that's true. If you aren't treated like an adult, then it's difficult to learn how to adult. Yeah, to a certain degree, but like, you should be like getting the I'm treated like an adult in small increments, right? Like, the same way of like learning the alphabet, right? Like, you don't learn the alphabet one day. Yeah. Paula Kreinberg says, you don't know generally just how much money you will need when you are older. Yeah, that's true. That's true. You only know it later. That's right. And old seems a million years away. That's right. It just doesn't seem real. Paula says, sorry, I'm late here on the phone with the IRS for 45 minutes on hold. I vote for honey, soy sauce, barbecue, chicken thighs. Oh, hot damn. We should do that. We should definitely do that. I got some chicken thighs. I don't have a vacuum wrap. I don't have a vacuum packer to get it marinated in time. I can figure it out, though. True, I didn't go to college. I started working full-time at age 16. Totally different learning curve, and I was forced to figure it out rather quickly. Yeah, I mean, that's basically my existence. I worked, I always just worked. So we send them off. We tell the thing, get a job, go adult. And if you don't get it right out of the gate, you and I are both failures somehow by current standards. Yeah, I mean, that's the reality of it. Like, that whole paradigm makes no sense to me. Like, that whole thing will, ultimately it will come up to Olivia's decision. I mean, if she just wants to move out when she's 18 and runs away or whatever, like, it's very little that we're going to be able to do to physically stop her from doing that kind of stuff. But potentially, like, we're most likely to go more of a European model in the fact that, like, there's no reason that the way things are sort of formulated in the United States that, like, people are 18, get out of the house, go rent your own place, spend all of your money renting your own place, blah, 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 doing all that. It doesn't make any sense. The European model makes a lot more sense to me in the standpoint that, your kids are going to live, with you to a certain degree until they're much older, until they're willing, building their own relationship with somebody else and having the ability to, buy a home and stuff like that. There's no reason to waste all that money. Also, the anemone I got for my birthday is currently crawling around. There's always something going on over here. Justin thinks I should be more serious about a fish tube channel. I wouldn't argue with Justin about that. I think the reality is that, like, I still think there's an avenue for YouTube channels to exist in 2024. I'm trying to formulate a plan in order to get more time to edit content and try to get content out more seriously on a schedule. I don't know how that's going to look, though, But it is 4:00, and so I want to thank everybody for coming out today. I know a lot of people are on summer vacation. You guys are probably out camping. You're out doing whatever. It's all good. But great to see all of your lovely faces in here. We didn't have any super chats or anything to shout out. Okie dokie. Didn't have any of those. Do we have any new patrons? Nope, no new patrons. No new members. No new nothing. But thank you, everybody, for coming out. And hopefully you leave a comment. Share this with your grandma. I don't know. Do what you got to do. I will holler at you guys whenever I get the next opportunity to do so. Have a fantastic 4th of July or Canada Day. Apparently today's Canada Day, so shout out to the Canadians. You know, what up?